for the Order Empire! This ends now!
So, almost everyone in the Stick War community has believed one thing for years, that Atreyos is the Spearton who kills the final boss in Stick War Legacy. And I don't blame anyone for thinking that, because there are a few reasons why people naturally assumed it was him. What people believed? Most players genuinely thought, Atreyos appears in Stick War Legacy. A Spearton kills the final boss in the campaign. So the conclusion became that Spearton must be Atreyos. This belief spread everywhere, and eventually most of the community accepted it as a fact. Why people believed that? There are two main reasons for this misunderstanding. Reason one, in Stick War Legacy there is the Endless Deads mode. When you lose in that mode, the end screen shows Atreyos standing on the statue trying to save himself from the zombies. So players saw Atreyos in SWL and naturally assumed he was active during the SWL timeline. Reason 2. In the final cutscene of the SWL campaign, a Spearton charges at the giant final boss and kills it. Since Atreyos is the most well-known Spearton character, people simply connected the dots and said, okay, yeah, that's definitely Atreyos. But that's where the misunderstanding begins. Because when you actually check the lore, that Spearton could not be Atreyos. Why it's definitely not Atreyos? Before saying who it actually is, we need to understand why Atreyos is not even an option here. There are two simple facts. First fact, Atreyos most likely wasn't born yet during the SWL campaign. Stick War Legacy's main campaign takes place very early in the Stick War timeline. Atreyos belongs to a much later era of the Speartons, so the time period alone already makes it extremely unlikely. Second fact, Atreyos was not a Spearton commander yet. At the time of the SWL campaign, the commander role was held by someone else. Atreyos only becomes commander much later in the story, so he simply isn't in the position or the timeline to be that final boss killer. That's enough to confidently say, the Spearton in the final cutscene is not Atreyos. The SW3 cutscene that reveals everything. Now here's where things get interesting. In Stick War 3, there is a cutscene that features Spearos, who is introduced as a former Spearton commander and the founder of the entire Spearton nation. And in that cutscene, Spearos says a very important line. After the first battle of Inamorta, things were good for a while. This is the key to the whole mystery, because now we need to understand what the first battle of Inamorta actually is. The timeline. Which battle happened when? A lot of players think the first battle is either the Medusa conflict in Stick War 2 or the SW3 campaign, but that's not correct. When Spearos mentions the first battle of Inamorta, he's talking about the war where the Order Empire united the swordwrath, united the Archidons, united the Speartons, united the Magickill, united the Giants, and fought against the Chaos and ended the giant final boss. That exact journey, uniting all the nations, is literally what we see in the Stick War Legacy campaign, aka SW1 Classic. So the SWL campaign is the first battle of Inamorta, and Spearos clearly states he was active during that first battle of Inamorta. Connecting the dots, the real identity of the Spearton. Now everything lines up. SWL is the first battle of Inamorta. Spearos says he fought during the first battle. Spearos was the Spearton commander at that time. Spearos was chosen by King Zarek himself. Spearos was already the founder and leader of the Speartons. And in the final SWL cutscene, the Spearton who kills the giant says, "I'll end this for the Order Empire." That is exactly the kind of line a commander would shout, not a random soldier. not a future warrior who wasn't even born yet. All the evidence matches one person, Spearos. So the Spearton who kills the final boss in Stick War Legacy is not Atreyos, is not Attikai, and is not a nameless unit. It is Spearos. That's everything I wanted to explain in this theory. It took a lot of time to research, connect all the timelines, and put everything together properly, so if you found this interesting or learned something new, a like or a comment would really help a lot. And if you want more Stick War theories like this, you can subscribe. I'll be making more soon. Thanks for watching.